Welcome back to Reshape Your Life. I'm Jason Atkinson, certified health coach, nutritionist, and personal trainer. And it's day 4 of our 28-day ketogenic challenge. So today I want to go over the descriptions, exactly what is a ketogenic diet, and cover the 3 most popular versions of this diet. So first off, keto is short for ketogenic or ketosis. Keto is not really a diet. Keto is a metabolic state that your body goes into when there's no glucose, where it starts powering your brain and body with alternate energy molecules called ketones. So ketosis or ketogenic state is a metabolic state that your body goes into. The easiest way to get into ketosis is to fast. And fasting, well, I'll just say this. The ketogenic diet was actually developed as a fasting mimicking diet. In other words, it allows you to reap all the benefits of fasting while still being able to consume something, primarily in the form of fat and protein, with very, very low carbohydrates. This version of the keto or ketogenic diet is known as the clinical ketogenic diet, was developed by a medical doctor, Russell Wilder, no relation, and he worked in the Mayo Clinic, and he was developing this as an intervention for epileptic children. So it's not really practical to have children fasting for long periods of times to control their seizures. So he discovered that when they were fasting, they were producing these alternate energy molecules, these ketones, and that fat did not disrupt the ketones, and protein didn't disrupt the ketones, but only carbohydrate would shift the body back to burning sugar. And the link between the diet and neurological functions is varied, but that's another application of it. Most people know the keto or ketogenic diet for weight loss benefits. Probably the most popular ketogenic diet that's ever existed was the Atkins diet. Everybody's heard of that. It happened back in the 70s, and then again in the 90s, there was kind of a resurgence of it. And it was perfect timing because it was right around the time the dietary guidelines for Americans were released. That's when obesity really boomed, so that we needed like a second coming of the Atkins diet. Atkins diet was super simple. There's only one rule: don't eat carbs. Okay. And the people who followed that, millions of people followed that and got great results. And as a lifestyle intervention, I'd have to say that's one of the best things that I could recommend if I just had to give short piece of information. You could almost just pass it off to somebody in the elevator. Hey, see you later. Don't eat carbs, right? So it's easy to understand. It's easy to follow, and that's why it was so successful. There's not lots of rules to bog everything down. Of course, we as humans love to have everything super complicated if we can. And, about 7 or 8 years ago, keto became the most popular diet ever. It was on the front cover of every magazine. When you're checking out the grocery store, Women's Day magazine, keto diet, it's everywhere, okay? And people are going around, there were like tribes of people online proclaiming that they were hashtag keto, right? This was a full-blown movement. And they kind of just adapted the clinical ketogenic diet, which for weight loss purposes or for a high-functioning athlete, that's not really my preferred style of the diet, but it does work for weight loss. The history of low-carb or low-carbohydrate diets goes back to the 1800s. There was a famous undertaker in England named Banting. His last name was Banting. And he concocted this low-carb diet to lose weight. He cut out potatoes and bread and beer and other things he was doing that were real high carbohydrate foods, and just ate like a meat and veggies type diet and lost a lot of weight, published a little pamphlet, and it was like really the world's first diet book that was ever written was back in the 1800s. Atkins, who I mentioned earlier, got his idea from a medical journal. He read about a low carbohydrate diet and he thought, let me try this with my patients and see how it works. And he created his own version of the plan that became famous. So it's not really necessary to eat lots and lots of fat in order to be ketogenic. But if you're trying to control seizures and you want a deep level of ketosis, you can go to that extreme with it. So there are 3 ways to modify the diet. First of all, I mentioned the clinical ketogenic approach, which is the mainstream concept: high fat, very low carb, kind of moderate protein. The next iteration of it would be what is known as a targeted ketogenic diet. That one's popular with bodybuilders and strength athletes. That's a style of ketogenic diet where you just allocate your carbohydrates around the workout window, so before or after a workout. And the theory there is it's just to supply fuel for the body to power that glycolytic activity, and then it's burned out of the system, it's gone, and you can just go right back into ketosis. So another way of modifying that is known as carb backloading. Very similar. That would be just allocating all of your carbohydrates to the end of your day after having done some exercise during the day to deplete your muscle glycogen. Similar theory. You're just going to push the carbs right back into storage. It's not going to remain in the bloodstream, and you'll be able to go right back into ketosis. Now, my favorite version of this is known as the cyclical ketogenic diet, which is very low carb during the weekend with high carb cheat days or refeeds in a window on the weekend. That style of ketogenic diet was created by Dr. Mauro Di Pasquale. This was late 80s, early 90s. The history behind that is fascinating. He was a power athlete. He was a power lifter and the editor of Powerlifting magazine, medical doctor as well. He was contacted by Vince McMahon of the WWF at the time, the World Wrestling Federation, who was going to start his own bodybuilding league to go toe-to-toe with the IFBB. So right around that time, steroids were becoming illegal, and there was a lot of heat on him to, he was under a lot of scrutiny for supposedly supplying wrestlers and these bodybuilders with anabolic steroids. So he contacted Dr. Pasquale to come up with a diet plan that would mimic the effects of anabolic steroids without the side effects or the harmful effects. So the cyclical ketogenic diet, or the anabolic diet, came out of that background, which is interesting. But so that's really the 3 in a nutshell. There's not, the rules are not that ironclad. Basically, if you have signed up for the challenge, by the way, and you have the app, you have the information at your fingertips. If you're listening and you haven't signed up for that yet, I'll put a link in the comments below for you to sign up for this 28-day ketogenic challenge. The guidebook is there. It has all the what to do, what not to do. There's daily recipes, weekly shopping guides, and everything that you would need to do this with all the enthusiasm that you can muster. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and shut the video down. That's it for today. Thanks for listening, and I'll be back tomorrow with another update.